Hello, welcome to the Pitchy Podcast. We're your hosts, James
and Stephanie.
Here on the Pitchy Podcast, we are passionate about good music and a great vocal. We'll use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give you our take on each contestant. We'll give you our feedback on their voice and their overall performance. Here on the Pitchy Podcast, we'll keep it 100 with our feedback and critiques of each contestant's vocal and overall performance. But what we're not here to do is come for anyone's character or any contestant as a human being. While we may come off a little bitchy at times, if you know what I mean, we'll do our best to speak our truths with love, kindness, and respect. And with that, let's get started with episode 2, second night of the live, season 24. Well, Stephanie, before we get started, I just want to wish you happy anniversary.
Yay!
For the podcast. Facebook had to remind me, social media had to remind me that today, the September 27th of 2022, we launched our podcast to the world, and the rest has been more than history. It has been a ride that I couldn't imagine taking with anyone else. It has been a ride, a roller coaster ride and a half. Through life, through moves, through children, through everything. What say you, Stephanie?
I can't believe that we're still doing this after a whole year. And kudos to you and kudos to me for being consistent. As you said, just doing this in the midst of life. Because like I always say, you know, we're doing this in the midst of our real lives, and our real lives have been happening since the start of this podcast. But somehow we have chosen to remain consistent and get it in where we can fit it in, like you say. And it has been so much fun. And again, just like you, James, I could not imagine doing this with anybody else. It has been one of the great joys of this past year doing this podcast with you.
It has, Stephanie. And we just want to always give a special shout out to our pitchies who have been with us since the beginning. I know some of you have been listening since the first episode, have not missed an episode yet. And we just thank you all so much for tuning in. We thank you for your loyalty. We thank you for just spending a little time with us, because there could be time spent elsewhere. We also want to send a special shout out to all the contestants from seasons 22 and seasons 23. You injected so much life into this show. Thank you for coming on this show and spending a little time with us and letting us pick your brains about the creative process and giving us a little behind the scenes info, because like I used to call us, I used to call us the little podcast that could. So thank you all, past contestants. Thank you, future contestants. And Stephanie and I just do this for the love of it. We love listening to new talent, listening to new voices, and discussing, not necessarily critiquing, but just discussing them.
Just discussing.
You know, when we hear somebody sing a song. We heard some singing last night, Stephanie, didn't we?
Sure did.
So without further ado, let's jump right into the second episode of season 24. And even though it was a shorter episode, it packed its punch and awesome performances. So who do we have first?
Well, first off, we have to start with our cliffhanger, because we had Mara Justine, and she was a 4-chair turn, 21 years of age, singing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And
we got a bonus, didn't we? We got a little bonus.
We sure did. We got that sensational duet with John Legend.
I want to say one more thing about Mara, because I actually went back and listened to her in my good ears.
Okay.
It was just crazy. It was crazy to hear the control It was crazy to hear the range. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about something that Mara did when we talk about some last night's contestants, because I want to really, really bring a point home, because it's something I, as an artist, as a singer, have been personally working on lately. And I want to just give this advice to all the other singers, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. But who did she go with, Stephanie?
She had to go with Coach John after that duet.
Had to.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Just watch for her. Watch for a deep run, you all. Really.
For sure.
She's there. You know,
Yes.
some artists that come on this show, you're like, they're there. They've arrived. That can help and hinder.
Yeah.
I don't think in her case, because she's very likable.
Yes.
It's going to hinder. Because some people were like, well, where do they have to go? But I just think that she can just go for the stratosphere.
I was going to say, sky is the limit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So we took care of our unfinished business. Let's jump into last night. Who did we have first?
So first up, we had this firecracker of a 16-year-old, Miss Ruby Lee from Foley, Missouri. They ain't got but about less than 100 people in that town, but she is singing that town. What'd you say?
One stoplight.
One stoplight. And she sang that town down, and she sang that stage down. She sang I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart by Patsy Montana. Just go ahead, James.
Check the birth certificate. Miss Ruby Lee. I need to check it. But you know what? I think Big Daddy would have something to say if I come trying to check for your birth certificate. Your daddy look like he don't play.
That's right.
Let me just tell you, before I get into Ruby Lee's voice, which I have no words for, Miss Ruby Lee, your dad, to go back and watch your dad and to see, like, you could tell he is a country boy, he is a farm guy. You could tell, I mean, to see him really become a puddle of emotions.
Yes.
As to how proud.
Yes.
You know, in his overalls and all, how proud he was of his baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that mom and sister weren't proud, but to see dad just, you know, he just couldn't take it.
That's right.
The emotions kind of just snuck up on him. Big Daddy, I don't know your name, sir, but you know what? You're doing something right by raising that incredible talent of a daughter. So go on, Big Daddy. Go on. Let me go ahead and talk about Miss Ruby Lee. Let me tell you, Miss Ruby Lee, you have one of the scariest voices I've heard in a very long time. And when I say scary, I mean all the good scary. Mm-hmm. You, number one, really have no break in your voice. And I really noticed that right before you went into the yodel section, you just went straight up through your passaggio, or your passage between your chest and your head voice. And that, to me, if I'm trying not to get too technical, Ruby Lee, but that, to me, I bet you don't even know. I bet it's just a natural gift, because it takes years and years of training and studying to be able to do what you did with your voice. And not only that, the attack, Stephanie, the attack that young lady had. Like, she was like a prize fighter, okay? Right. Like, it was just crazy how she attacked those yodels, okay? And she was an authentic yodeler. There are many imitators of yodeling. People think it's some gimmick. No, it is actually an art form. And when you hear it done correct, like Miss Ruby Lee did, let me tell you, your ears, like, almost like they can't believe what they're hearing. Right? Ruby, you are my front runner. I'm just gonna come out and say it. You are my front runner, because people have no idea the immense talent coming from this young 16-year-old's throat. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just insane. And you also look like one of my closest friends, who actually is a professional opera singer in New York. And if you ever come on this show, Miss Ruby Lee, I'm going to introduce you to her, because you have a dog banger. You really do. I showed Stephanie the picture. She was like, "Oh my goodness!" And this woman's in her 50s, so she could be your mother. She might be your grandmother if you're 16. So I got to show you her. I'll show you her picture, Miss Ruby Lee, if you come on our show, please.
Please.
Talk about Ruby Lee all day. But between Big Daddy and Ruby Lee, that I love their family. I love. Remember when John turned around? Did you see what the mom did? She was like,
Yes.
"Woo!" I love it all. I love everything about you and what you stand for. And I think you are going to take this show by storm, young lady. Stephanie.
I love a good yodel, but I never understood or really recognized it as an art form the way I did when I heard Miss Ruby Lee. Give her a PhD in yodeling, because it was so effortless. Everything about her singing was effortless, but there, like you said, there was such attack and there was such power and such confidence behind what she was doing. It was incredible. Just as you said, even before the yodeling, her moving in and out of that head and chest voice. I'm like,
where's your break, right?
Where is your break? Like, and with the power that she was singing those higher notes at, I was like, oh my goodness, she has lungs of steel.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, truly.
And the diaphragm bigger than her stomach. Like, it's just insane.
Right. It's insane. And the precision at which she was singing was incredible. And let's not forget, while she's doing all this singing, she's in there playing the guitar. Strumming her pain. Listen, it was one of the most surprising, electric auditions I have ever seen. And I was totally
excited, Ruby Lee. You really got definitely excited. Like, we were like, yes.
And I was not expecting it, because when the music started, it was like heavy banjo and kind of like really old school. They was getting it though. I know they was having a good time playing that, but I was just kind of like, oh, what is the hold? It was straight up hold down, and I was like, oh my God, what is coming? And once she opened up her mouth, I said, oh my God. Oh my God. You have a gift, young lady. You have a gift. You have a gift. And the only thing that I could see that she could potentially work on a little bit is her stage presence. Show a little bit more personality. But that's all a part. The show is going to be a built-in masterclass for that. Like that. Right. That is so easy. That's going to come. That's the only thing I can see to work on with her, because everything else, the technique, the vocal, it's there. It's there.
It really is. Wow. And then it was great because she was a 4-chair turn. I love that John turned around again. Always look to see, Pitchies, look to see who turns around first.
Come on.
Everyone who auditions on this show, always watch to see who turns around first. Because that is very telling, and depending on the season you're talking about, like when you see someone like, I'll go back to Blake. I won't even say John. I'll go back to Blake. Blake rarely turned around first. But whenever he turned around first, I was like, ooh, because Blake had an ear, right?
Yes,
not that them don't have ears,
right?
Because some of them are looking for specific things. But I think someone like Blake, who had been on the show for 22, 23 seasons.
Right.
Like, he just had an ear for good singing.
That's right.
Not looking for a specific genre. Of course, he could live and breathe country all day, but he had an ear for good singing.
Yes, absolutely.
Always watch to see who turns around first. I always find that fascinating. So it's interesting, because I'm not going to give it away, but it kind of does give it away, that I loved that when they were discussing Ruby Lee, Reba took a moment to say, hey, you know what? I know what this art form is that you sing, because my mother was a yodeler and she taught me how to yodel. And I loved it that Reba started yodeling to say, yeah, I can yodel too. Of course, she was basically like, I can't yodel anything like you, but I can yodel. I can't hang with you. Right. I can't. So who did you go with, Stephanie?
Oh, she went with Miss Reba.
Oh, you had to.
Had to.
Had to, because you know what Reba has? That this goes back to your point, Stephanie. Reba has that stage presence, and she
Yes.
is going to just really coach her towards bringing her personality out, because that's one thing about Reba you can never deny. She has personality, and then
Absolutely.
and Ruby Lee has personality, because I
Yes.
love her little mantra, right? Her little pickup to her singing about her town. Like, she has
Yes.
personality. I
Yes. That's very true.
know her better. America's going to want to get to know her better. Yeah,
100%.
holy, she's 16. That's insane.
Mm-mm.
Singing like that.
I know.
All right, great. So who do we have next?
Next up, we have Juliette Ojeda. She's 20 years old from Miami, Florida, and she sang Hopelessly Devoted to You by Olivia Newton-John. She sang it in Spanish and English.
Lord.
Hey!
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. I was a little concerned when the song opened, because and this goes for every singer that auditions on this show. Be very careful if you sing something and you started off stripped down. You got to come in so strong.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to be even more delicate with your voice and your choices when you come in and something is stripped down. Because I thought in the beginning it was a little shaky. And I could tell it was nerves,
Right.
because let me tell you, when that salsa beat came in, when the da 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 da, and then she just was like a thoroughbred that just like took off and never looked back.
Sure
Because
didn't.
let me tell you, she sang when that salsa beat came in, she sang her face down. I went back and listened to my good ears, and
Yeah.
she was singing, y'all.
No, she was.
Singing.
Mhm.
And I just was like, okay. Now, with her, it's going to be song choice. I thought it was brilliant to do this song in Espanol and English, a little
Mhm.
Spanglish mixed in there. I thought that was brilliant. I've never heard this version of this song. I thought it
No.
was awesome, because Stephanie and I will both tell you, Hopelessly Devoted, don't sleep on that song. It is an extremely difficult song to sing.
That's right.
Extremely rangy song, originally made popular by Olivia Newton-John from the movie Grease.
Mhm.
This was Olivia's song, right? So
This was
everyone
it.
knows that this was signature Olivia Newton-John. So for her to bring that, little Espanol, little salsa to it, it was brilliant. A great arrangement. You could tell the band was just, again, like Stephanie and I always say, the band, Paul and the band, let me tell you, you can always tell when they love to play a song, because there's
That's
just
right.
a zhuzh to it. And I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved this audition. I thought it was very smart and very strategic.
It took me to listen to it a second time to really, really appreciate it. Because to be honest, at first I found it busy. And at first I hoped that she would have kept it slow, because I thought that the very beginning, just singing it low and slow, was really, really beautiful when she was started out singing it in Spanish. Um, and then once the beat picked up, I was like, oh, and then it just energy, like you said, thoroughbred, like she did not stop. And when I wasn't listening with my good ears on the first listen, it sounded like there was some pitch issues. When I listened with my good ears, there really wasn't.
No.
And that was astonishing to me, for as much energy as she was putting into the performance. The ends of those lines were pretty clean throughout the back end of that performance. She was playing with dynamics in parts of the song. And based on the amount of energy that she was giving and the ends of those lines being clean, I was like, again, great breath support. So that means that she has pretty good technique at the jump, starting out, which is incredible. I was getting nervous because at first nobody was turning, and we had this happen last season where it was like, okay, she's singing in Spanish. I don't know what she's saying, so I'm not going to turn. I'm like, don't do this, y'all. Y'all know this song. Don't act like you don't know this song. She is not just singing a Hispanic song. She is singing Hopelessly Devoted in Spanish. Y'all better turn for her because her voice is good. So I'm glad that she got, I believe, 3 chair turns. And yeah, I was really, really happy to see that she was going to move through because I can't wait to see what she's going to do next.
Yeah. And it was great. I always listen when they mix another language like Spanish and they jump between the languages. I always listen for diction. I know Spanish is her first language because she is the daughter of Cuban immigrants.
Yes.
But I was listening to her English diction. It was spot on.
Yes.
On.
Yes.
So I can't wait for her to sing in an English song, and I can hear the soul in her voice. So
oh yeah,
what she's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited about her.
Yes,
very, very. All right. So who'd she end up going with?
She went with Coach Gwen.
Sure did. Gwen turned around first for her, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
And then Gwen turned around. And she was like, oh, you can't help but dance. You can't.
That's right. That's right.
A shout out to Hispanic Heritage Month that we're currently in as well.
Absolutely.
So shout out to our Hispanic brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Listening. All right. So who is next?
Next up is Julia Roome. She's 13 years old from Warwick, New York, and she sang "Dream a Little Dream of Me" by the Mamas and the Papas.
So it's very interesting to go back and listen to her in my good ears. I actually hear an immense talent in the making. It was scary. Her ear to be that young, to be an 8th grader. I mean, she's the same age. I mean, I think she's a year younger than my daughter, which is crazy. An 8th grader. She did that. Did you hear that diminished drop? She said, like, I was like, yo, how do you know how to do that?
Yes.
How do you know how to do that? That's advanced level. That's master's level singing that she's doing. Right. And I was like, yo, that was crazy what she did. And I think she's almost there. Like, and I'm saying that to a 13-year-old, meaning I'm going to really look for her to grow in this competition. I think a competition like this is really good for singers like her who have this immense talent, but still are so young, right? And they're so moldable, and their voices can go in any direction. She stick with it. But you know, America loves young talent on this show as well. So I do see her going a few rounds. And I really liked it when I put it in my good ears because I heard the actual, and I could appreciate the actual quality and skill level of her singing, which I was like, are you a savant? Like, you're things vocally that people don't learn until much older, which was great. And she had her own sound, right?
Yes, she did.
Sound at 13.
Yes.
I'm watching for her. I'm watching.
Absolutely. I heard many things in her voice. I heard pop. I heard theater.
Yeah.
I heard singer-songwriter. And I believe it was Gwen who said this, either Gwen or Niall, I can't remember, but I heard vintage in her voice, a little bit of that vintage sound.
Yes, this was the one that got me, right? Because isn't she the one where Gwen said, I used to, when I was young, sing very vintage?
Yes.
And Gwen busted out with the color purple? She said, sis, you've been on my... I said, oh, that Gwen.
Listen, you know who Gwen hang with. When she ain't hanging... Listen, when she ain't hanging with Blake, she hanging with even them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know...
It's true. I know sister from Color
Oh,
Purple.
yes.
Crazy. I said,
Oh,
oh,
yes. Oh,
that was cool.
yes.
That was hot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sad.
No problem. No
Because it blew
problem.
my mind. I was like, when now you know that song?
Yeah. Just like you said, I heard some melodic changes and differences and shakeups that she did with the song. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. Bending
And
notes and whatnot.
video.
Yes, that was cool. I thought her range was really cool because there are low parts in the beginning of the song, but by the time she got up to the end, she was way up here. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. She has the potential to really be able to be a master of communicating a song. I
Yeah.
saw that in her, and I think that that's a little bit of the theater influence that I saw as well. You know who she reminded me of last year? She reminded me of Mary-Kate Connor. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's put her when she does a battles the duet, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see her in battles, because if she gets with the right partner, I think that she is going to really, really shine,
Yeah.
even more than what she shined last night. She just needs a little bit of polishing, a little bit of refinement.
Yeah.
And again, she's 13.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Incredible instrument. Incredible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember, Mary Kate really wasn't on our radar until she did the duet with Kylie. Like, once she did the It's Me, Hi, I'm the Problem, we were just like, yo, Mary Kate's a front runner. So,
yes,
see that happening with Baby Girl, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So who's she go with? I forget who she picked.
She went with Niall.
Yes. She was a little dream star.
Yeah.
I was like, you're too young to be like, I liked you when I was young. Like,
I know, like,
you're 13.
you're
girl.
13.
You are still young.
You're still young.
That's great. Great choice. Niall will bring that youthful exuberance, energy that she's going to definitely play off of, right?
And that vocal technique, because listen,
like he don't play.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay,
That's right.
so who do we have next?
Next up was Jenna Marquis, 19 years old, from Simi Valley, California, and she sang "Teenage Dirtbag" by Wheatus.
Let me tell you, I know this song, and I was
just a teenage dirtbag, baby.
I said, "Girl, you better sing this song down. I need a good rocker. I need a good rocker on this show." And let me tell you something that she did, Stephanie, that I usually do not like, but I don't know why I liked it when she did it. If you notice the opening of the song, her diction was pretty loose.
Right.
It was pretty loose, but it worked.
It did work.
I said, "When are you singing?" I said, "You singing Teenage Dirtbag?" I said, "She is." I said, "But she's like doing these weird vowel things with her mouth," but it was to Stephanie and I are purists because we pick sound over words all the time. Like, if you can give us a impeccable, wonderful sound, now don't lose your words.
No,
but if you can give us an impeccable, wonderful sound, the manipulation she was doing with her mouth, I loved it. I don't know why. I just thought because it was very funky sounding.
Yes,
it was like a different rocker approach.
Yeah,
but then towards the end of the song, she gave us that. Like, I just was like, yes, girl, yes. That's what I'm waiting for. I was waiting for a rock holler.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I thought this was a very strong audition. Not only was it a strong audition, I thought this girl worked the stage. I thought she had great presence too. If I were her, if I were Jenna, I would stick with your rock genre. Stick with your rock genre because not a lot of people are going to do it. I don't want you to get lost because I think you're really, really talented.
Mm-hmm.
You can do some things vocally that other people can't do on this show. I was very impressed with this audition, Stephanie.
That's right. I had to put it in my good ears to really appreciate it, and I'm learning my lesson. And I should have learned from last year because I listened to all the episodes with my good ears, and they gave me a really good clarity as to what I was really, really hearing. I thought her voice was so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was this interesting mix between R&B, alternative, and pop.
Oh,
It was
Stephanie, great description.
Yeah, it was like
Perfect.
this modern alternative voice mesh. Um John said that there were portions of it that sounded like Rihanna. And
Yeah,
I heard that too. Once he said that, I said, "Oh yeah, I hear that too." Really cool song choice. Like
yeah, great song.
who would pick that song to sing? And I love the way that she chose to interpret that song.
Yeah.
Um like you, I did have a hard time with the enunciation of some of the words, but again, when I heard it in my good ears, it didn't bother me as much because it
Didn't.
was almost like a filtered effect she was putting on her voice. Here's who she reminded me of. Yeah, listen, listen.
Oh,
I'll
goodness.
never get over that. I'll never get over that. Season 22. Look it up. She reminded me, speaking of last season, a little bit, her voice reminded me of Tasha Jessen.
Yes,
Can you
Tasha.
hear it? Hey, Tasha.
Yeah. No, it really did like a meshing of genres. Like we said that about Tasha's voice. Like Tasha could go any direction and be really.
Yes, that little bit of rasp, that little bit of grit, but that little bit of
Yeah.
soul infused in there. So come on, Miss Jenna. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's up next.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I could see her doing a song like "I Can't Stand the Rain." Like I could hear her singing something like that, like Kim used to do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see her doing like soul, rock soul. I see her singing Tina. No one ever does Tina on this show. I could see her singing
I
like
could see that. I
some Tina. Like
I could see some of Alanis as well.
I'm talking about rocker Tina. Like
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can see her doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Alanis, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
Jenna's got that really cool voice.
Yes.
All right, who else she go with? I really try not to remember because I like to be surprised again. I somehow remember who they picked, but I
Mhm.
don't remember who Jenna picked.
She went with Coach Gwen,
Very smart choice. Very
isn't
smart.
it?
Gwen, because Gwen has a very eclectic type of sound and look. She's going to
Yes.
really accentuate that and bring it out in her and
Absolutely.
make her stand out, which I think will do Jenna very good.
Absolutely.
All right. So who is next?
Next up was our mid-afternoon leak.
Yeah.
It was Ephraim Owens. He's 36 years old from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he sang Beneath You're Beautiful by Labrinth.
He said Ephraim. Someone's like from the Bible.
Like from the Bible.
Ephraim. Oh, so first of all, Ephraim's story was great. Great Midwestern guy,
Mhm.
great wife. Oh, daughter's the cutest thing I've
So
ever seen
cute.
in my life.
So cute.
And Ephraim was our leak. Now, I didn't see the leak until we were in the middle of our recording yesterday, Stephanie, and you
Mhm.
had already listened to it, and I had not listened to it, and I purposely was like, let me just wait until tonight, because and I didn't really ask Stephanie too much into
Mhm.
what he did because I wanted to get my good first impression because I usually a leak is going to be good, and
Mhm.
this leak did not disappoint by
Right.
any means.
Right.
Ephraim Ephraim has a really, to put him in my good ear, Stephanie, I really was listening. I really had to listen hard. Ephraim has a voice that it's like a Trojan horse. Like they're like hidden
That's good.
attacks, right?
That's
Hidden
good.
attacks in his voice. Like you think his voice is doing one thing, and
Yeah.
then Ephraim has this next level to his
Yeah.
voice. Like especially when he goes up in his register, it becomes like clear as a bell, and it's this gorgeous vibrato up top.
Right.
It's very pure.
Yeah.
This is what I had mentioned earlier in the show, where Mara, I thought did so masterfully. I need singers on The Voice. I need you to pay as attention to your lows as you do your highs. I understand your highs are your money notes, and I
Right.
spent my entire singing career, life, whatever, really focusing on the highs. But in my middle age, Stephanie will tell you, because Stephanie and I sing together quite a bit. I've really been focusing on my lows, and it has been really paying off. Because it's number one, it's easier on the voice. Number two, you're not pushing. And number three, it sounds good when you've really mastered your lows. And I think Ephraim has a voice that has the range to beat most on this show. Like, I really, really do. Like, he's got that type of voice, that type of superstar, like, like, um, his voice is nothing like Omar's, but like that superstar voice like Omar's.
Right.
And that's why I call it the Trojan horse, like, because I
Yeah.
heard all these things that he was doing. I said, yo, you got to listen really closely. This guy is doing some really cool vocal things.
Absolutely.
A couple of pitch issues here and there, but I thought he
Yeah.
covered it up
Yeah.
beautiful. Like, it was
Yeah.
like almost adjusted, right? It's
Yeah.
like he heard that he was a little bit off in parts, especially in the beginning. He
Right.
made quick adjustments to
That's
it
right.
that, to me, makes a true artist and a true masterful singer. So,
That's
Ephraim, is a threat, you all.
yes.
Y'all need to take notice, every one of you. He is likable.
Yes.
He can sing any genre,
Yes.
and he, yeah. I already said they like him. They like him.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're really gonna like this young man.
Yes.
He's got a great story. Stephanie.
Perfect segue. They did not speak of this during the show. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. But do you want to know what Ephraim spent 6 years doing?
What?
He was an MMA fighter.
No way.
Way.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. And he sings with the attack
Yes.
of an MMA fighter. So I
Wow.
thought that was
That makes a lot of sense.
right.
That's crazy.
Right. I have rarely seen a male vocal and a male performer attack the way he attacked the stage and attacked his performance.
Yeah.
He has this cool mix of pop, rock, country with some grits. Yeah. I call them grits, but with some grit and with some grits in there. Yes. Yeah. Niall used a really good word. There was some angst in his voice.
I thought that was a brilliant description.
Yeah, because you could feel.
What did he used a similar word. John. He said, yeah, angst. I call it, and I keep forgetting what John said.
Oh, I don't remember.
But John used a very good descriptive word for his voice too. Yeah, I agree.
And the interesting thing is that Ephraim, weirdly, like if you turn your ear just a little bit, he has a voice very similar to John. It would be as if John had more of a rock grit to his voice. Like their voices sound a little bit similar. Ephraim just has a bit more attack to his voice. I think along the lines of what you were saying, I would love to hear more of his lows, and I would love to hear more of the quietness in his voice, because I think that would just be absolutely beautiful. We have seen how big his voice can get and how he can hit those power notes. But I really hope that he has a chance in this competition to show us a little bit of the softer side as well. I love his story. I love his family. I love his passion. And I love that he gets this opportunity to shine in this arena on The Voice.
So it was interesting. I need you other contestants who are going to, I know this season's already, all the contestants have already auditioned technically, but if you're going to, in the future, when John Legend is a judge on this show, do what Ephraim did. Don't sing a John Legend song for your audition, but bring your baby girl out. and do a little impromptu John Legend talky singy duet. John Legend was just a puddle of emotions. I know he's a new dad to his latest child. So he was just a puddle of emotions. When he, because John, number one, John was impressed. He's like, "Oh, you're singing one of my new songs. This
I was
isn't
going to say, and
horrible. This is, this isn't
right. Make sure you come on and sing the new song,
right.
the latest.
You're singing my new song." And then, but he didn't sing it to audition.
That's right.
That is, you all know that is a big no-no to come on this voice and sing a John Legend song.
That's right.
At any point, even after you've made it on. Now, it's easier when you made it on, but don't do it in the blind. So
that's right.
Take what Ephraim did, you all. Take the advice. And I'm sorry I'm segueing into it, but who did he wind up picking?
Oh, he wound up with Coach John.
Smart.
Yes.
Yes. Because John, I'm sure, is going to have a heavy R&B influence as the season goes on, as he and Kelly always did.
Yeah.
And Ephraim is going to stand out because he's not pure R&B.
That's right.
I'm sure he can sing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, but Ephraim is multidimensional, and that's the other word. He's very marketable.
Oh, yes.
And so, look out, America.
That's right.
Out, voice contestants for Ephraim.
That's right. That's right.
Humble. He's humble.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow, Stephanie, what an episode. It was short, but like I said, it packed a huge punch.
It did.
You know what? I need to take a second. I need to take a second to apologize because to the voice contestants, because I feel like I was a little bit of Oscar the Grouch. I don't know. It may not have come through in the previous episode, in this episode, but I was talking to Stephanie offline. I'm going to tell her myself. I was talking to Stephanie offline, and I was like, I'm going to be so mean this season. Not mean, but pitchy this season, because nothing could touch season 23. Stephanie said, okay, James. So we said this about season 22, and look what happened.
Right.
So I just need to apologize because I get so much joy. I don't ever want to be jaded.
Right.
I want to always come into every season with fresh ears and fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the attitude and the approach I'm taking going forward. Because I'm not going to sit here and say nothing can touch the previous season because, Stephanie and I have a place in our heart for every season.
Oh, absolutely.
But we know that this season will not disappoint. That's why we love the show, because it never disappoints. Right?
No. And every season, me being a former classroom teacher, every season of The Voice is like having a different class. By the end of the season, you've grown so attached to these people. And then when you start a new season, just like when you start a new school year, you have to kind of get your bearings and you have to get your footing and you have to build those relationships.
Awkward, right?
Yeah, it's a little awkward. You have to build.
At school, you're like,
yeah, you got to feel it out. You got to get the feel of the season, get the feel of the contestants. But by the time we get into the battles and the knockouts and all that, we found our footing, we found our people. And, it just becomes a new, beautiful class. So I anticipate that will happen again.
Thank you so much, teacher.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But no, I am definitely, and that's another thing. I mean, it is just kind of a testament to the previous seasons. Like, Stephanie and I became close to actually a lot of the contestants.
Right.
And I can't wait to get close to the contestants this season. If you also would love to join us, we'd love to have you on this season. Always, always, always. It would be our humblest of pleasure to have you all come and talk to us on the Pitchy podcast. So, Stephanie, I can't wait to week.
That's right, but let's remember our question that we're going to ask after every episode.
Stephanie, I was trying to talk us through because I want to answer it because I know it's coming.
I don't forget.
Oh, so she never does, y'all. She never does. Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah, so out of our contestants from...
You answer first?
Absolutely. I will go with Ruby Lee.
Yes.
And the question, just so that we're clear for all of our listeners and watchers, is who do we see at this moment in time from the contestants from night two, who do we see going into the finals? If if we had to pick one.
You have a second? You have a second?
Do I have a second?
Yeah, second person. I'm sorry.
Okay. So yeah, my first was Ruby Leigh. I can see her going into the finals. I would have to pick between two. I could either see Jenna as well, or I could see Ephraim as well. I think right now.
You make me sick in a good way. Those are my choices. Absolutely. Okay. Exact. And Stephanie and I, again, you all know, for those of you that know the show, we rarely don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. Ruby Leigh, all the way to the final. Jenna's our dark horse.
Oh, yeah.
And Ephraim is undeniable.
Yeah, but again, this is for right now. This is just how we're looking at it right now. This could change within the next round. So you never know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But thanks for asking, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
All right. But thank you all. What a great first week of season 24. I can't wait for next Monday when it's just voices, voices, voices. And they were kind of tight-lipped on this episode preview. They did not show many singers singing.
No, that's right. That's right.
But I am looking forward to a Friday leak, NBC. Do not fail us with a Friday leak. Please.
Bring it.
We will be right here in heavy anticipation for this leak. So until we meet again next week, Stephanie, tell everyone what they need to do.
Sure. So don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be the first to know when we drop a new episode. And also don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Search for the Pitchy Podcast and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop a new video. And last, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Pitchy Podcast for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more.
All right. Well, we'll see you for episode 3 and 4 next week. Can't wait.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.